Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. We're coming to you live from CES in Las Vegas. Joining us for this segment, we have Scott Likens. He's U.S. and Global Chief AI Engineering Officer at PwC, and we're going to discuss 2025 AI business predictions through PwC's work and how to navigate the transformation. Scott, it is great to see you as always. Always enjoy having you on the show at CES. If you could make one prediction to sum up all of the rest, what would it be for 2025?
Well, we made 6, but if I had to take one, I think this year is going to be not only about vision, but about adoption. You know, building those workforce muscles, but also for executives. This is going to become intrinsic to your business. So that adoption is going to be key, not only for this year, but the next coming years, as we know AI is going to keep changing.
Yeah, well, Jennifer Kosar, PwC's AI assurance leader, has a great quote in the report.
Yeah.
Successful AI governance, which you and I talk about, will increasingly be defined not just by risk mitigation, but by achievement of strategic objectives and strong ROI.
Yeah.
And to your point about integration, now I think the industry is thinking about, okay, all this work that we're putting into AI, what does that mean for the business? Are we seeing that investment come back?
Yeah, I love the quote, ROI will depend on our AI. You know, last year I think people were talking about responsible AI, but this year is all going to be about trust. Trust with your workforce who's using it as it becomes intrinsic in everything you do. Trust with your customers, your business partners. So getting that framework right means you're going to get to ROI faster because people are going to trust the output. So I think it's absolutely critical to do that right this year.
Yeah, we were talking about this off camera for a moment, but thinking about AI, how it's going to impact development life cycles and the competitive landscape. You and I tend to focus on policy, ethical, responsible use, and governance and so forth, which is something you talk about indefinitely. But when you think about the product life cycle and the landscape, what do you think that looks like?
So we're seeing tremendous opportunities to shrink the R&D life cycle, whether you're building a physical product or a technical product. We think you could maybe cut time to market 50%, so outpace your competitors. As we know, AI is moving faster, the time scale is shrinking. So using AI to shrink your time scales on physical product development or technical product development. And then, of course, cutting costs, maybe up to 30%, but the time to market is the revenue opportunity. So R&D, product development, whether it's a new drug or a new toy or new software, AI is going to help us do that faster, get to market faster. So I like the revenue there.
Okay, so what can companies do now, right? Because you want to get the product faster, whether it's an internal, external facing product, but you also have to think about risk and cybersecurity that comes along with it. And are you weighing that into the equation versus speed to be competitive in the landscape?
A great quote, speed can be the enemy of trust. So moving fast means we have to build trust in from the beginning in the design. So assessing your risk holistically, AI is intrinsic in everything we're doing. It's not just a technology over to the side anymore. So assessing that risk and then figuring out how we're going to govern it. This now becomes a centerpiece of everything we're doing. It's not just a cyber risk, it's an AI risk that's intrinsic to every process at some point. So I think you have to assess that risk, you have to build the organization around that, and then upskilling your workforce to understand it, to trust it, to use it, to give them a superpower, but in a responsible way. That's a heavy effort for a large workforce.
And if you think about beyond 2025, how should companies be thinking about the regulatory landscape? Because we're kind of in a vacuum there.
Yeah, and with the new administration, we have to wait, as that comes online. There's some good indications they're going to be pro-innovation and pro-AI and invention, but we need to understand the regulatory landscape. Every industry is a bit different. We saw financial services and pharmaceutical and health move pretty quickly last year, but they also have a much heavier regulation on top of them. So, but there's good opportunities. Compliance becomes maybe easier as regulations change with AI. So by industry, consumer markets, being able to get to their customers in a different way using AI within the regulation. So every industry is looking at the regulatory environment, and we're hopeful this year we'll get some clear guidance, hopefully pro-innovation. But with that, we'll adjust. And again, as we're thinking about it from the beginning, we're building that in as the guardrails.
Well, one silver lining to that could be, and if we use Trump 2.0 as a reflection on 1.0, the first administration, he and his administration really does bench their performance against how the economy, the markets, or leadership in global capital markets, and you need that framework to maintain that leadership.
Absolutely.
And that's a big ethos if we use 1.0 as a guide.
And the balance of innovation and speed versus control and governance and regulation, doing it properly, and I think we're hopeful that we'll get some good balance there.
All right, Scott, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me from CES. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Market